You're coming back, Aaron.
Majel Roddenberry plays 2 roles. The computer has an attitude, and is Deanna Troi going to call Odo Dad? Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 7th Rule. Cirroc and I were talking about Clippers basketball, but we're going to take a break to talk about The Forsaken, directed by Les Landau. Before we do
another Les Landau.
Every time I say Les Landau, you guys have a good laugh.
Yeah, he hates us. That's why we're not in this episode.
I don't think he hates us.
He was like, give me an episode without Nog, without Jake. Okay, I'll do that one.
I wonder if I did another episode after that with him. I'm trying to remember.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
So, but first, let's talk about J.J. Landau. Aaron,
let us talk about J.J. Landau. Do I have a piece of? I thought I still had one. Yeah, you have it there, but I sometimes have a postcard here that I can share. Oh, I don't know if I can reach it. Yeah, I got it. Here we go. So our wonderful, amazing artwork right here, and you can see a little bit of that on a larger scale next to Orion T. Husk, was created by the amazing J.J. Landau, this artist who does some fantastic work that I found him online and asked him if he would do some artwork for us, and he obliged. So we are here to promote him as best as we can. So please take a look at his website, jjlandau.com. That's spelled www.jjlendl.com. Check him out. He's got some great stuff from Star Trek to Star Wars to Raiders of the Lost Ark to X-Files. He's got some amazing, amazing artwork.
Plus, he's a good guy, too.
Yeah,
I love
right?
JJ. Yeah.
He's really nice.
Customer service is second to none. Also, check out our Teespring online store at The 7th Rule. Just go to teespring.com/The7th Rule or check out the description box in the comments below in this video to just click the link and do your Christmas shopping. What's wrong with that?
So I'm pointing to the title I'll put for J.J. Landau and for Teespring on this edit, which I don't know why I didn't do that before. I can literally just put a little title there for, say, jjlandau.com and Teespring.
You probably didn't do it because you were angry.
Why would I be angry? What would I be? I don't know what I'd be angry about.
All right, well, let's get into it. Enough clowning around. We got work to do. Let's talk about The Forsaken, directed by Les Landau, the guy that hates Cirroc and Aaron more than anybody else. What do you guys think?
And the reason why Cirroc makes that joke is because he directed us in Progress, which was, that the famous, infamous, I should say, stem bolt scene. I'll be honest though, when it's a Les Landau episode, I seem to enjoy the directing a bit more. It seems a little bit less static and a little bit more creative, even though I feel that the directors are really stuck to conform to what Rick Berman wants it to look like. I was thinking about that. I remember when I worked on the show and everybody gets to direct, right? All the actors, all the regulars get to direct shows. And I'm like, man, I want to do that. Even if I just learn how, I wanted to do that really bad. But as a recurring guest star, it's like, yeah, that's nice. Go have a donut. So I never got that opportunity. And I remember being pretty intimidated by it, going, wow, that's probably a lot to do. And as I'm watching the show, at least in this time period in the 90s, I'm like, man, that looks really simple. It's, they're literally, here's a wide shot. They come in, we go into coverage, single, maybe an over, and we're out, Or in one scene, I noticed that Les, I liked it though, because he knew that the next, he was thinking a little bit ahead and being a bit more creative. And it actually was teaching me something, watching what he did differently in this one compared to the last episode, where I think it was the one the gentleman whose name I hadn't seen before, that I can't remember. His name escapes me right now. It was all very like on a tripod, static, very static. And Les this time had this conversation here with, I don't remember who it was in the foreground, somebody in the background, and then the camera pan to then bring in the next actor who joins the scene. So while he can't necessarily move the camera, like on a dolly track or on a jib or on a steady cam where they refrain from that, he still was able to be a little bit more creative in choosing how to tell the story of the scene. So I do find myself actually enjoying Les's episodes a bit more than what I've noticed in some of the other directors.
Yeah, no. So basically, what you're saying is that more is less, Landau. Right.
Les Landau, right?
Oh my God! Wow. You know what? I
There
would
it is.
repeat that joke for our patrons on our Discord server that are listening.
Angry Aaron is.
But woo, that's like a dad joke. I guess I didn't know that you became a father recently. You should tell us about that.
Here are my boys right here, and I'm so proud of them.
Don't touch me like that. Don't touch me like that. Don't stop playing with my nose. But
Anyway.
it is something that I like looking at more and more, because I noticed that when certain actors direct, everybody is so quick to say, oh, he's the best director. Oh, I love his directing. And I always want to go, why? What is it about him compared to others that you find he does a better job of? And I'd be really curious if many people would be able to articulate why. And some would. And I that's a conversation I want to continue to have on our show. And I would love to have one of the directors come on our show, because I'd like to ask them about that. I'd like to ask them about what it's like to be conformed to a certain way to shoot it versus on Discovery, as Jonathan Frakes told me. He goes, man, they set you free. They want you to create. They want you to do a lot. And we see the result of that when we watch Discovery. And I invite both of you to watch that and tell me what you see, you know, when you look at the directing of an episode. Do you notice?
Well, for me, just being there and working with directors, the thing that I enjoy about a good director is setting me up for where we are and what I'm thinking at the time. So for me, it's that kind of direction, taking me to the side and say, this is the point, this, you know, he's feeling like this, he just lost his girl, this and that, or just give you a little bit more feedback to kind of put you in the right state of mind for that particular scene. So that's what I enjoy about a director. And I think one of the things I recall about working with Avery, working with LeVar Burton, actually, who was really good at that, was the times that he would take you to the side before the camera rolls and kind of give you just a little bit of the information that he thought would affect your performance. So
what you're saying is you needed a lot of direction. You needed a lot of help. That was a joke for.
I do. I mean, they are the director. And,
yeah.
You know, so the director giving directions, I enjoy that kind of feedback, because what I think it does is it increases the enthusiasm and the energy. So if I know that the director is excited about it and knows where we are and what he wants to see and accomplish, then it helps me get excited about it or get in the right frame of mind.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that, with the set, particularly this, with the way we film, is the single camera on a dolly action, which doesn't give you too much sense of being in the middle of the fray. It doesn't give you a looseness of a steady cam or a looseness of a camera that is moving with more fluidity.
Right.
So if you combine that with being stuck in an elevator, then it's really hard to get much out of that. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how fun would it be to if we kickstarted the opportunity to reshoot several episodes of DS9, and you bring in some of the directors from Discovery and say, go at it. How would you shoot this episode now? Like In the Pale Moonlight. Can you imagine if they redid In the Pale Moonlight, which is a very, well-received episode of DS9, and we have a ton of them. And I wonder what it would be like if they shot it. And I think you brought that up when we were talking about Discovery. If we shot it like Discovery did, if a director was given more freedom, what would our show look and feel like? Would any of the choices that actors make be different? Would there be a different way to do things, not just visually, but emotionally? I remember, speaking on what you spoke of just now about getting direction, I was afraid that Avery was going to give me direction when I did the newspaper scene. I was afraid he was going to say, you call that a New York accent? I live in New York, son. I live in New York. I'd be like, I thought it was, man. I've been working on it. I thought it was. And I was so happy that he didn't say it.
He did not.
I was thinking, okay, I must be doing it right. Because if I was doing it wrong, I know he would say something. I know he would say something.
You asked Cirroc, did you say, is this the right accent? Is this the right accent?
I never did, actually, because I
we didn't work together on that episode, right?
Mm.
I never saw him on that episode. Well, not to say I didn't see him. I didn't work together with him.
Yeah.
But, you brought up Majel Barrett, who was really
For those of you at home, he's making a quick reference that our first recording just lasted about 3 seconds because rather than saying Majel Roddenberry, I said Majel Barrett, and I was like, oh, fuck this.
Yeah.
But anyway,
but she I remember her a lot because she was around, and even though I didn't do any scenes with her, I remember what a really nice woman she was. And I enjoyed her aura. She had a really positive energy about her. And one thing that stood out to me in this episode was her. And she had a lot to say in this episode. She actually had more dialogue, I think, than anybody on this particular episode.
Yeah,
could be. Yeah.
I never got to meet her. Actually.
Yeah, I got a chance to meet her, and she was just really a loving, very good-spirited, warm, just happy-go-lucky type person. And I felt like we lost a real pioneer in her because she really carried on the legacy that her husband left behind. Mm-hmm. And she did a great job as being the ambassador of the franchise.
And she does the computer voice on our show.
She's a computer voice, right. Yeah.
So she played 2 roles on this episode, which was cool.
Right, and I just feel like a little hats off to Majel for being a wonderful person, for leaving nothing but good memories behind, and and really holding her own in this episode with Odo, who gives us some great looks. I think some of his facial expressions are classic.
In this episode.
Yes. Him and Armin are just they have set up their characters and nail it. It's almost like they've been doing these characters for years.
Perhaps, yeah. Because there hasn't been, there hasn't been like, I'm settling in.
No, and they don't break. And they don't break. They stay right in character the whole time. And with Odo, it's preparation, but it's just like, it's also the level of professionalism. It tells
and
you
commitment.
Commitment. These guys clearly have been, honing in on their skills and mastered their craft for long before they got into these roles. So that's evident to me when I see a guy like Renee and when I see Armin and Avery.
And it's a good lesson for actors. We talk a lot about acting is committing. You have to commit, right or wrong. You make a choice and you see it through. You can't really second guess that choice. You can't say, oh, I'm going to try this week and try that this week. You can have some fluctuation, and I think we see that with some of the other characters. But I don't necessarily blame the actors in that either, because sometimes the writers are finding the characters a little bit, and maybe finding the Quark and Odo characters came a little bit quicker, a little bit easier. Same with Sisko and Avery, and the 3 of them to me just committed to this. This is the foundation of my character. This is what I am working with. This is what he is about. And I know Armin specifically said he wanted to go the complete opposite of what he did from the last Outpost. So he clearly came into this with a goal in mind to really, really set the record straight and make amends for what he felt ruined Ferengi on the last Outpost. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think Armin, in all the work, I've never seen him not, up to par, more than par. And same with Renee, if you look at his body of work as well, and Avery. And I don't mean to say that either with the other actors. I feel like they've come in with their foundation and their commitment as well. I just feel like that the writers haven't found especially with Terry's character Dax, they haven't really found what they want to do with that. Same with Bashir. Like they're kind of playing with it. I feel like they go, oh man, we got Quark, we got Odo, boom, they're settled. Now we can just play with them. But the other ones are like tinkering still. They're still like
Sisko.
Huh?
Sisko a little bit.
Sisko, yeah. And he was so funny. It almost looked like a blooper when he was in ops and he was facing camera and the ambassadors came in behind. Again, this is Les Landau, and he kind of went. he did that little smile.
He did.
That was great. He's like, okay, here we go. Oh, what can I do for you? And it was great. I love that little moment. And it's those little moments that truly bring us into the characters and take us on those journeys and want more. And then we want more, you know?
I'll be the first to say that, and I know a lot of people agree with this, that Avery did a better job playing the strong, brooding, captain type, more so than he would do like the comedic roles that they tried to squeeze in when he was more of a commander. But in this episode, I was like, he's playing the comedy pretty well here. Like he did a really good job. Like a lot of times you're like, okay, he's definitely more of a serious actor or the brooding actor that fits more. But in this case, I thought he nailed it. Like he made me laugh, and his laughter was infectious, which is, great and important. And it reminds me of kind of what you were saying with the directing, when how the writers and directors kind of influence the actors and the characters and such. I will say that, myself as an actor, something that I look for in a good director, and the directors that I've enjoyed working with the most were the ones that really communicate their vision well to the actors. Because otherwise, as actors, no matter how good or bad an actor is, we're just guessing. We're like, I think this is what they want. I think this is what the character is, And if a director comes and like really tells you their feelings on this, or their wishes or their vision, it takes such a load off as an actor. You can be like, oh, okay, I get it. And sometimes they can tell you something 9 times, but it's the 10th time that they word something differently that it clicks, and it just opens up the whole performance. And
well, for Aaron, that was 16th time.
19. I nailed it on 16. I nailed it
on
director. Thinking back to DS9, the directors, it's interesting, I think, for actors probably respond to different directors based upon maybe their personality and what works for them, right? In many ways. I mean, in the documentary, I love BC's conversation with Avery and how she was frustrated because he wouldn't communicate what he wanted. And they had that little scene, and then he goes, okay. And then you cut to, I want the camera here. Then I want an overshot. Then they come in and we come over in, and he fully explains everything that he wants. And BC goes, thank you. That's what I need. When I look back, I remember really enjoying Sid, who directed Prophet and Lace. I think I was in it for a small period of time because, and you know who else I had a lot of fun with, who I was kind of blown away with, was Michael Dorn. Because he was so engaging to you and I when we were doing a scene, and he was so excited. And
I think it was the longest we've talked to him.
Yes, because for years I thought he didn't like me. I'm like, he never talks to me, never says hi. I'm getting all insecure. And I'm like, okay, well, to each his own.
Yeah, it was
like,
a little
Aaron,
shocking.
how you doing?
It was a little shocking when he's directed. And
Do you too?
Yeah, because you started to have like deeper conversations.
Yeah.
And long conversations. I think, and then you really got to know how thoughtful he was. And I got an insight into his mind and how it works. But yes, he wasn't the most talkative or friendly to me as well. So I didn't get a chance to get to know him in a really cool, friendly, buddy type way. I felt like he was in his own thing, and don't mess with Michael Dorn. He's getting his makeup. And I guess part of that is also
we should have pranked him.
Part of that is probably who I believe to be Worf to be, right? So yeah. He's already convinced me that he's Worf, and he's this like no nonsense guy who doesn't joke around.
Well,
and even though he's the complete opposite in person, but the character And also, you know, the times when he's sitting there, he's getting his makeup on. You don't really want to bother him in that moment either. It's not exactly the most. Hey, Mike, I was last night.
Yeah, I think I blew it when I called him Mikey. I shouldn't have called him Mikey.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah,
called,
no, he does not. No.
But
But what was interesting to find out about him is like he owns planes and he's a pilot and he drives fast cars, and so he's like, wow, this guy's like, he's an interesting person if you get the chance to get to know him and talk to him. Except that, you know, part of it is that exterior shell like that he wears outside, where it's difficult to kind of find a way to approach him. But yeah, as when he directed the episode, I actually started to get to know, you know, how his mind works in a lot better way.
Yeah, and you know what I think over time, what I've realized, because when I see him, like I think I saw him at the it was either at the documentary or the Spock documentary, and we were chatting, and he's so warm and open and kind, and what I realized is that I think he's more of an introvert actor. I think he's more of a, you know, kind of inside and here, and he's not this, hey, how's it going? You know, oh, it's good to see you. I think he's more introverted. That's just a thought or a theory I have, because he's been so open and nice over the years. And I'm like, man, I wish I knew that then, because then I've been a bit more engaging, but maybe in a different way. You know what I mean? So when he directed us in the cards, I was like, oh, he's such a great guy. Oh, this is so fun. And then after the episode, it was silence. No.
Yeah. Well, you know, part of the other reason too is he did join our show after we were already established.
That's true.
It's, you know, that's just difficult for any actor to try to jump onto a cast, you know, that's already formed and find your way into it. So it's not like you're building your way up together. It's kind of like the outsider coming in, and now we have to make room for him. So I'm sure there was a level of that as well, because I see him with his Next Generation cast, and he's almost a 180 degree different from him sitting in our panel for a DS9 panel. And then
That's
I see him.
Point.
Yeah, I see him at the Next Generation panel, and he's so much more himself. You know, he's a lot looser, and he's making jokes. He comes to our panels more comfortable, and he comes to our panel. He's like, how much longer do I have?
Maybe he always was afraid of, you know, Paramount brought him in, and he was afraid of how the others would take him. You know, and he didn't want to step on toes. He didn't want to think, I'm coming in here and this is my show now. He didn't want to have to make sure he didn't give that impression. I wonder if he's ever talked about it.
I've heard him talk about it. Yeah,
he
actually said. Yeah, he said that the Next Generation cast was funnier, that they had more jokes, that there was fun.
He should have hung out with us.
Well, yeah, he didn't hang out with us enough, right?
Didn't hang out with the right people. That's all.
Yeah. So yeah, he mentioned that our show was, you know, quiet on the set, and, you know, people were laughing
because
and
the
joking.
red light was going. We were supposed to be quiet.
Well, he always mentions that. So I've heard him say that his time on Next Generation was more of a fun, comedic, jokey, you know, vibe, as opposed to more serious get to work vibe on DS9.
Hey guys, we have like about 1 minute left, a little less before we go to the break, but I do want to hit one last thing before we close the door on directors. What do you think about Quentin Tarantino directing the next Star Trek movie? Some people are all for it. Some are totally against it. Some are kind of in the middle.
Well, I'll just give you a quick on that. I just saw the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood movie.
Oh, I want to see that.
Don't waste your time, because it's terrible.
Oh, really?
And I hope Quentin does a better job on Star Trek than he did in that movie, because he wasted the chance to have Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio in the movie together. And in the time frame that they were in, where it was a loose time, where sex and drugs and everything was going a lot cooler than it is now.
Loosey goosey.
And he didn't use any of that.
Wow.
And I was completely disappointed. It was like a waste of 3 hours.
Wow. Oh my.
Almost 3 hour movie. Yeah.
We need our own episode just to talk about that.
So The 15 minutes of the movie is good at the end. 15 minutes.
I'll answer you on when we come back.
Yeah, because we got to go. So we'll be right back on, say it with me, the seventh rule. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Aaron's going to tell us what he thinks. Yay or nay for Quentin Tarantino directing Star Trek 4?
Well, I guess I'll be non-committal. I don't think you can ever really say, I don't think I can say yay or nay. Even on Cirroc's critique of his recent movie, you can also look back at some major successes he's had. So that doesn't necessarily discount him as a director. But if you take his style, then you have to wonder how much will CBS allow him to do if he does go forward with that, and if he takes it into that direction. If he does, I think I would, my first inclination is to say I just don't think that would be right. I think it would be just too outside of the paradigm of what Star Trek is. If you take in like his Reservoir Dogs style, or even Kill Bill style. I mean, if you got these things, as Cirroc mentioned, he's cutting off arms, and you got all this kind of stuff going on, and this chaos within Star Trek, and it's, now it's, you're getting into, an R-rated territory, and a very severe R-rated territory.
Yeah. By the way, it has been confirmed that it's rated R. So
but I will always reserve my judgment to see it, and I'll watch it and go, yeah, whoa, that's not what I feel Star Trek is, if I feel that at the time. But then when that's a whole conversation about, well, what really is Star Trek, So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I always like when productions or things take a leap. They make a bold choice and go, we're going to go for it. As we talked in the previous episode or the installment just a second ago, commit. They're going to commit to something and see if it works. And, if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and they don't do it again. You could look at J.J. Abrams, that on paper probably looked like it was going to be a great thing. And maybe it brought a lot of fans in, but it also turned a lot of fans off, right? A lot of people were very frustrated with the J.J. Abrams Star Trek. So I don't know, It's kind of like, what if he directed a Bond movie? Maybe that would be better, cool. A better fit than Star Trek. I don't know. Time will tell.
I think it's funny that at one point CBS was off Star Trek for a long time, and they were selling the old sets. They were liquidating everything. I think they auctioned off everything they had from Star Trek at the Sotheby's, and they were all Star Trek. They didn't want to hear it. Mm-hmm. And then J.J. Abrams gets his directing deal and decides, I want to do Star Trek. Mm-hmm. Brings it back. And now it's like the exact opposite of what they were on, from completely off of it to like, let's do a Quentin Tarantino version.
Who's next? Kevin Smith? Hey, let's have Kevin Smith direct a movie.
We have 2 cartoons coming out.
Clerks on the Enterprise.
Yeah, it's like, really, it's the complete opposite of what you started out doing. But let's get into the Forsaken, because I don't want to
Did somebody say liquidating?
Liquidator Brunt.
Let's talk about Odo. So
let's talk about Odo. I thought it was great when they were in the elevator and he says, I've got to liquefy now. And she lifted her dress up, and I just was like, it's not the time to do it. You got to.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
So Cirroc is saying if Quentin Tarantino needs somebody to write with him, a writing partner, he's there.
I'm there for you, buddy. I'll make it raunchy.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I really like that they were going after exploring Odo's character, but again, I'm going to be a bit critical and feel they fell short. If he's rolling his eyes, which was such a typical a very stereotypical moment between, a male and a female, of she's just talking about nothing. He's going, oh, I'm tuning out. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, really? I was kind of falling asleep at the beginning of that scene. And then we get into the meat of it, which is to learn more about Odo. And he's literally melting like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I was thinking like Jabba the Hutt.
I don't want you to see me like this.
And I thought it was a bit severe. And I was also wondering if this is his natural form, kind of going back and doing whatever. I was kind of interested why he was so embarrassed by it. Like, I feel like we didn't really get to the point of, so what's the big deal? So yeah, you're a changeling and you have to go into a bucket, but you're more embarrassed in front of this woman that you don't even understand, or either A, you have feelings you don't understand, or you don't want to admit something, or it was just, I just didn't like it. And then I felt when she took off her wig, I was kind of like, so you have dark hair. I was just struggling with this, trying to get these two to connect and find common ground in a very important part of what you see to be Odo. I think maybe they missed the mark in the sense, writing wise, because maybe they could have used the same thing, but because of what he had to do, there was going to be, because of his time, somebody else was going to get hurt because of that. You know, then but then you can't discount how somebody might feel about how they transform or what they might be ashamed of, or so I was just kind of struggling with that a little bit. I have to
let me jump in real quick and say that the point of taking the wig off was so that they would make that connection. That was her.
Oh, I know.
That was her demonstrating her vulnerability to connect with them and say, look, it's okay. We all have things that we're not proud of or things that we're insecure about. And so I was fine with it. I actually thought the episode was better than I remember it being, because I remember seeing it a while ago and I was like, oh boy, this episode. And, you know, still not one, it's not their crown jewel, but, you know, it worked. And I thought the directing, to your credit with Les Landau, was that he let it be that episode. He didn't try to make it like, you know, say, hey, this is more of a boring episode. It's more of a character-driven episode, you know, and some people might be not fully confident in that and try to like beef it up to make it a little less boring. And he was just fine with saying, nope, that's what this is about. It's a character piece. And, you know, through thick and thin, we're going to stick with it. I thought, and you know, Majel was supposed to be much more of a recurring character on Deep Space Nine. I don't know if you guys knew that, but it's been said many times before that they planned on having her come back a bunch of times, like Garrick or like Nog or like Jake Sisko or Ducat, just somebody that kept coming back, but that didn't end up working out. So this was supposed to be kind of the episode that creates that.
Well, I like her character, and I like that she, you know, found something interesting about Odo, and that she was, you know, wanted to kind of pursue him. I did think it was like, you're an empath and you can't realize he's uncomfortable. So I felt the writing didn't support her character, because right when she's getting so close, the conversation should have been, how come you're so uncomfortable with me? I feel it. I feel this resistance, which would have explored why he's resistant to a woman. Which he kind of explains to Sisko. And that was my other criticism. That scene should have been between him and Kira, because then it would have been a mirror to when Kira came to him earlier, which harkens into their relationship from the past. And then it even foreshadows their relationship in the future, which is connecting, right? About vulnerabilities, because this is about Odo's vulnerability. That's what it's truly about, right? And then, as you say, Troy's expressing her own vulnerability to make him feel better. I get that. I just felt it. I felt it didn't carry as much weight as I wanted. And then I also thought it was strange that he liquefied, and then literally 3 minutes later, he's, hey, I'm great. You know, like his batteries got recharged in a heartbeat. But then again, I guess she couldn't carry him out of the turbo lift and go, now where do I go?
Well, we find out in later episodes that he was just faking all that so she would shut the hell up. That's
wow. Wow.
But he should have just melted his ears off.
But I do feel they missed that opportunity with him and Kira. You know, I think if he had that scene with Kira instead of Sisko,
I thought that scene was weird. He was basically, Sisko was telling him to get his rocks off and
pretty much,
and bang somebody out
with an ambassador, no less. Yeah. Oh yeah, she likes you.
Procreation.
Yeah, it was a little strange.
It was a little strange, and and it was also strange. What is that? What is somebody calling me? I gotta go. I was thinking like. you're like the security ops. You dealt with all these kinds of different situations. You should be able to stand up straight and be like, I'm not interested. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he got really goofy. He got like, he was worse than
Yeah.
Dar. I thought you were going to come and say, Odo, let's go. You're going to make a fool of yourself.
You're embarrassing yourself.
Well, maybe that means he was a little interested. Maybe that's the whole point, is that as an empath, she knew that there was a little spark there. There was a little interest. And that's why he was just like, I don't really know what to do. Because normally it's easy for him to just say, nope, you know, I don't need you. I don't want you. Get away from me. Quark, you know, or whatever he says. But in this case, maybe there was a little something, like he is a little lonely and he was kind of open to it, but he just didn't know how to go about it. And he really just wanted her to be quiet.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then the other story was O'Brien dealing with the computer. Which,
yeah, that was weird.
It was kind of weird, you know, because it actually reminded me of the Discovery episode where the computer, you know, the fungal spores.
I wonder if they took that from this episode.
It almost seemed like there was kind of a, you know, oh, the computer has been infected. Oh yeah, the computer system being
The computer
affected.
has a little attitude today. She's not feeling herself. There's something wrong. And then he ends up keeping it as a pet. And Sisko makes that cute joke about, you know, saying keeping it off the furniture.
Yeah,
Funny.
Which was really. I didn't even get to keep it off the furniture part. I still don't get it, but
like he was treating it like a pet. He was saying like, you know, I'll take care of it. I'll give it a home. And then Sisko says, and you'll keep it off the furniture, but, you know, acting like it's a puppy that he's letting him keep.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of weird. Just the whole, you know, reason why it would shut down the turbo lift.
Well, because we needed to see Odo melt.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, there were a lot of things that, you know, they said, don't try to escape Odo because, you know, the anti-gravital pulls, you know, electricity circuits or something. Basically, don't liquefy and try to escape out of the elevator.
Yeah.
And that was another, like, oh, we'll keep them in this room together and we'll have an excuse to do it.
A little too contrived.
A little bit contrived. But, you know, overall, like I said, I was able to watch the whole episode start to finish and not, like, fall asleep or say, when is this thing going to be over?
There's the stamp of approval.
That's well, it's not exactly the benchmark, but, you know, it was more entertaining than the beginning of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, woo!
One more dig before I go. No, but I don't know. It wasn't the greatest episode, but I wasn't exactly saying to myself, "Oh, this character suck. I can't believe this. This is terrible." It was just, it was okay. It was okay.
So this is what I was thinking of when I saw Odo melt, was Pizza the Hut from Spaceballs. You guys remember old Pizza the Hut?
Odo the Hut.
Taking a couple bites. You're delicious, boss.
Well, the one thing I did kind of like, though, is they were able to get a little bit character development through all the little scenes. You know, I think Bashir had a little bit more fun in this episode dealing with the ambassadors and learning something. Although I was thinking to myself, doesn't he ever have any patients to take care of? And he almost seems like the ensign of our show. You know what I mean? Like, Sisko's talking to him all when I was an ensign. And I'm like, but he's like this doctor.
He's like, what about after you graduated?
Yeah. So I feel like they're like, well, we need somebody that does the basic stuff. You know what I mean? And it seems like Bashir is the one that gets that and then has to learn something from that, which he did. But I am a little bit feeling that we're not really getting enough of Dax. Like, what is she really about? You know? And I'm a little. We keep going back to Odo, and I think the writer's like, well, we got Odo and we got Quark, and they're not quite sure yet maybe what to do with the other ones and where they want to go with them in the sense of story development. So I'm looking forward to that, to be honest. Her and both of them, both Kira and Dax. And I know we've got a big show coming up with Duet with Kira, so that's really good. So, you know, but why is it when anybody wants to get rough with a Ferengi, they grab them by the ear, the ear.
The
They
lobes.
always grab us by the ear. We're like, ow, ow, ow. And I'm thinking to myself, we would never do that to a human. I wouldn't, you wouldn't see Quark, go up to Sisko and go, what did you say to me? And grab him, nobody. So, but it's okay with the Ferengi because we've got, because we don't look
That's
like.
true.
And then you would think if the Ferengi are that vulnerable, they would have developed a visor type helmet.
Yeah. It's like if we'd be walking around with our balls hanging out, like our,
it's like
our balls
like a
hanging
jock strap,
out.
like a jock strap,
Yeah.
or for the ears.
We should have a helmet. Why don't we have a helmet? We're so exposed.
It's exposed, man. Cover that thing up.
Hey, Quark, cover up those ears already, all right? Instead of looking at them.
You're just letting them hang there.
And then like a bunch of teenagers when they're in school, they're like flicking each other's ears. Ha! I got you.
Ow, 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 ow.
Stop! You're gonna make me come. No. But there was a lot of things that were okay with the episode, though. Like I said, it was enough to keep it moving. I like the little conversations. Sisko's facials when he was really annoyed at the presence of the ambassadors. I like the way he breaks from this rigid leadership role to like, oh God, I hope that works. I hope that worked, and that'll get rid of him. And there were subtle moments like that where I think he played one to Kira. He played one to Sid when Sid was asking him about, what should I do? He's like, hey, don't worry. Just don't punch the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So there were little moments there where their conversations kind of got personal.
And we ended on a good note with Bashir. All of them come out and go, if it wasn't for Bashir, and that's good too, because as people have in the past complained about the first two seasons, what you realize is they're literally laying the foundation for where we go. And I feel like the writers are trying to figure out who each of these characters are and what truly are they about, and how do they fit in this puzzle of DS9. And so we have these episodes like this that kind of, give us those ideas, give us those thoughts, and start bringing us into the characters. Although I did wonder why we got rid of automatic sprinklers that would, if there was a fire, water would come down.
No, because you need bipolar. You need a bipolar.
What is a bipolar
extinguisher?
No, it was a torch. A bipolar torch. I'm just thinking, is it like untrustworthy? One moment it's this way, but it's go back. What is a bipolar torch?
What? You were happier earlier. Why are you?
It's not working now. It's just not working. It refuses to work now. Now it doesn't want to work.
We gotta wait. We gotta wait.
Just tell it it's a nice torch.
Yeah.
Can I just get a polar torch?
And the other thing I thought was interesting was the fireball down the corridor.
Again, once again.
It's the exact recycle of Kira's fireball.
She basically saw the future and she didn't realize. And they always go like this, whoosh. And apparently that's all you got to do to protect yourself from fire.
It literally is like see-through. It's like a ghost of the fire.
And it is funny. It's kind of like, I feel like they're kind of stuck. We have no danger on this station. It's got to be another fire, in a pylon.
A floating fireball down the hallway. They seem to go away.
That's actually an interesting conversation. If we're writing the beginning of the show, there is a struggle of danger. What would be dangerous on this station? And I would think, we felt it in A Man Alone when the Bajorans were rising up against Odo, and Sisko had to calm them down, and you had that kind of mob mentality. Seems to me, with all the different people on the station and everything coming through and moving on, that conflict really is whatever you bring into the station. Because the station in of itself, you can't just keep having fire in a hallway as, oh my God, we just barely escaped again. It's kind of tired. And I bet you through this, they start to, I'm assuming Ryan knows more than you and I, they start to figure that out. We can't just keep having a fire, or there's a hull breach on pylon 4, or we have
the reason for that, before we get too deep into that, is that's part of the reason why people were against Deep Space Nine when it first came out, is because they said, look, how many catastrophes can really happen when you're at a stagnant station? So that's why they had to get as creative as they could, where how do you create emergencies if you're not actually going into harm's way? You're not going into war. You're not meeting other aliens. You're just sitting there, and either some problems come to you or something happened. I actually thought about that watching this episode too. I thought, they really should push the Cardassian thing a little bit more, saying, this Cardassian ship has security protocols, or it has, some old mines that were left from the Bajorans, or little things like that. Because you're right, they completely run out of problems and catastrophes, and it's just fireballs every day.
It's interesting that they didn't start the show thinking the conflict probably is going to be with the resettling and the reorganization of the Bajorans, as the religious point of view, right? Yeah. Go ahead, Cirroc, you got a point on that?
No, I was going to add to that's exactly what I was going to mention. I thought that they should have made it more of an unstable thing, kind of how Israel and Palestine are at constant conflict.
Totally.
I thought that the Bajoran-Cardassian thing should still kind of be lingering, where there's these factions that are against each other, maybe terrorist factions and these different groups, and it wasn't such everything's stable. The only problems are going to come from the wormhole or from a ship that's docking or these new people on board the ship. Then you could have it more like a domestic thing where it's it's the guy who always goes to Quark's bar, it's this and that, and there's always this constant conflict. They kind of box themselves into a corner with that, with the stationary aspect of it, and they to their credit wrote themselves out of that corner.
Yeah,
totally, 100%.
Yeah, with the Dominion War and with the Defiant and just all the other storylines that they started to expand on. So, to their credit, they did realize we can't just keep having a murderer on the ship,
a fire in the hallway.
Yeah, exactly. We have to figure
a meddlesome ambassador.
Yeah, a scoundrel in the bar that's a distant cousin of a Ferengi. I'm like, those are cousins? That's a cousin of mine?
Like them.
Yeah. But yeah, it's too bad that they didn't, pursue the whole Bajoran, resettling, coming back to, being their own and not being under the, I hope I'm saying this right, the occupation of Cardassia. And what was threatening was when the Cardassians were hovering around. They've kind of just vanished. Like they went, I guess we'll just go, over there. And it was more threatening when Sisko was put in a position of mediating and keeping war at bay. And it's too bad that they didn't play with that conflict more. You have ambassadors here, and all of a sudden Gul Dukat shows up, and he's like, oh, how do I balance this out? How do I, and then you got Gul Dukat who's constantly wanting to come back. He's like that ex boyfriend, girlfriend that just won't really go away. And you're like, man, you keep coming here, and Kira's getting more edgy, and the temperatures keep increasing.
Kind of like Matthew McConaughey in that, what was that movie, Dazed and Confused or something? He's like, I get older, but they stay the same age. He just keeps coming back. He's like, what about now? What about now?
Right. Gul Dukat should have been hovering here and there, or even another Cardassian, Von Armstrong, when he made an appearance. They could have kept that threat just on the outskirts, so it kept Sisko a little bit more on edge. He seemed very, he seems like he's getting very cozy and comfortable, and I think maybe that's what's kind of missing, that kind of danger. There's not a danger. There is a danger when you're on a ship and you're going somewhere because you don't know what's around the corner. Here we know Quark's is around the corner. Right? Yeah. So, and we know Odo's around the corner watching Quark around the corner, or on the view screen in jail when it's not him.
And one other thing I wanted to add is that I feel like Odo they could do more shape-shifting. I feel like I'm missing him shape-shifting more.
That's a higher budget, though.
Yeah, I know it's a budgetary thing, but it just feels like he would shapeshift more often. Like, if this is the guy you're attracted to and you're looking for me, I'll switch up to look like this random other guy, and I'll be walking around undercover.
I've thought about something similar with Odo, and I can't really get into details, but I was like, every girl in the station would be after a guy that can manipulate the way his body is shaped. Exactly. He could do some wonders there.
I mean, he could literally turn into a Ferengi and be working in Quark's bar and goes, "Wait, who are you? Odo."
That's what I mean. They could have played with that a lot. So I felt like
a good point.
I'm waiting for him to shapeshift and change it. Be Quark. He could easily pretend to be Quark or somebody else. And so I felt like they could play with it a little bit more. And yes, I did think of the shapeshifting idea that you brought up, Brian. Which
he wouldn't
is
even
like
have to move. He could just hang out there and just
satisfy.
Yeah, without getting into too many details.
Wow, you guys are so dirty. You're so dirty.
Well, he's the one that liquefied and went up in her dress. I didn't expect that.
No, it was on her dress. She opened it. She lifted it like a pouch, so he could fall into her.
So
dress.
He was on top of the dress.
Yeah, she went like that, so it was like a pouch, and she had clothes underneath because she was multi-layered.
All right, so I must have blinked.
Yeah, you blinked a few times, or your eyes were wide open, going, "Oh boy,
Odo is
here it goes."
The turbo lift."
Odo's naked, he's perpetually naked. That's just fake clothes, so he's walking around naked.
Yeah, so she must have one of those dresses that can hold up water.
And you know what also bothered me about when they found the I'm just skipping over that one, by the way. When they found that the guy who stole her brooch, was it a brooch?
Yeah, the Latinum hairpiece.
When you saw him, he was like pouring out of stuff. And I'm thinking to
myself,
myself,
a Rolex, here's some time crystals.
Time crystals.
And he literally gave up with like just a hand on the shoulder.
Exactly.
Like, hey, you. All right. Here's everything I got.
You got me.
What the?
And he had pockets in the front. We never have pockets. But our cousins, Ferengi cousins, have a ton of pockets just to put stuff that apparently is spilling out and nobody could see. And how funny that Quark has.
They have umaks in their shoulder. Maybe like he was giving them the little heave-ho in the shoulder. He's like, "Oh God, take it all."
It looked like
That's
a
why
pawn
they're
shop.
cousins. They're very bad pickpocketers.
Very bad, and they seem to give up without a fight.
They're so soft. They're so
turn it
soft.
over. All right, here. This is all I got. I've been stealing all day.
Here, take my wallet too while you're at it. Just take it.
It was so that kind of I don't know.
It has its moments. What did you think about the ambassadors that were following around with the SIDS?
We have 20 seconds left. What do you think of the ambassadors, Aaron?
Fine. I a little bit too cliche in the sense
it was a Vulcan and
they all fit exactly whatever they're She was always complaining. The bullion was always official, and the Vulcan was always a Vulcan. It was a little bit, too. It was fine. It wasn't a big deal, It was
as a nerd myself, I was very happy to see a bullion because I always like seeing these cool aliens that we like so much. But we do have to run. Everybody, join in the comments below. Give us all your input, thoughts, theories, ideas, and dirty jokes, unless we cover them all. And we'll see you again next week on the 7th Rule. Hey, everybody, and welcome back. This is the free-for-all. We've been having quite a few laughs. We're joined by our Trek tech, Heather Jordan.
Blurry.
There she is.
Hey, Heather Jordan, how are you? Kat R. King may or may not be joining a little later. This is the free-for-all.
What? She is or might not art? I think you said.
May or may not.
Oh, okay.
We'll see. But I do want to say, here's a big question for today, is if you were to pick one Star Trek alien that you could be other than human or Ferengi, then what would that one be? Heather, you first.
Yeah, but she could be Ferengi if she wanted.
No, that's just the only thing. No humans, no Ferengi. Anything else?
She's terrified by the question. Clearly.
I think that's Argus. All black is Argus, the guy that ate Tasha Yar, killed Tasha Yar. What about you,
Oh my
Cirroc?
gosh.
Oh, well, after seeing this episode, clearly I want to be a changeling.
Because then you could be anything.
I can be anything, huh?
You can be anything.
Except that I'm like Cinderella. You got 16 hours and that's it. The pumpkin falls off and everything, and you start melting into something. So you better hurry up and get your rocks off.
That's true.
Wow.
What
Wow.
does that mean?
Wow.
Yeah, that's all.
That's
All right.
Heather, do you have something to say? Oh, you're
No,
frozen.
didn't have any chance to prepare for that question.
Well, no, you're frozen right now, so that's.
No,
that
but we
was-
can hear. Oh, she's back.
Yeah.
She's
You don't have
back.
to hear just
Oh.
whatever alien you think would be.
I'm just waiting for the next freeze frame to grab, so I'm
I
ready.
know, you guys are so mean. You know, I picked this background so you wouldn't pick on me today. And you
It's
just
a great background too.
Yeah, we love the background.
It's beautiful.
I
Thank
look like a troll.
you. It's at
No.
Star Trek Las Vegas. That's Aaron.
Ryan looks
John, and
buff.
Ryan.
Yeah, we got to
No.
catch up, Cirroc. You can start bench pressing me.
Where am I in that picture?
You weren't there.
you are not in this picture.
You're
I
in
know,
the
I know
backside
that
of minutes.
this is Homer,
Yes, that's Homer.
Yeah,
but I'm not
with the
sure.
Seventh Rule T-shirt.
That's John Tufarella.
Okay.
Another Seventh Rule T-shirt.
Yes.
Yes, they both are.
Let's give a shout out to Homer and John.
Yeah, and Aaron.
That's Brad
Love
Pitt next to
Homer and
Homer. That's Brad
Yeah.
Pitt next to Homer.
That is
Brad's
Brad.
Yeah, it's Brad. Why are you laughing like that, Heather? Why are you laughing like that?
Because Brad Pitt's my favorite.
That's right. That's what I'm talking
Have you
about.
seen the new Tarantino movie with him in it?
What, Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Me neither.
Cirroc has. He's very upset. Tell her,
Yeah.
Cirroc.
It's too long. It's too long. The movie is too long.
Aren't they all too long, Tarantino
Yeah.
movies?
Yeah, but you know what? Normally, like I'm a big DiCaprio fan, and by the way, DiCaprio, in his acting, kills this movie like he kills
Really?
like he
Yeah,
kills
he's a
other
great
all
actor.
his movies. He's just a great actor. But
Oh, he kills it in a good way.
well, yeah, no, he's awesome. for
I
what
actually
they
took it the other way.
No.
Okay,
He's
gotcha.
he kills it in a good way. He's a great actor.
He is.
DiCaprio's a great actor, and he does a good job at whatever they ask him to do. So, as far as him in the movie, he's doing what they've asked him to do. It's the movie itself, the script, that doesn't have enough action or adventure or anything in it, and it's like, all right, DiCaprio plays an actor who's kind of on his way down from stardom.
Okay, well, let me ask you guys this. Best movie you've seen this year? For me, it's hands down Rocket Man. Not even close. Hands down Rocket Man. What about
It's a
you?
Rocketeer?
This year. Yes, I was thinking of too. No, that was the Rocketeer.
I beat you to it.
Yeah,
I
you
stole
got
your
me.
joke.
Best movie. I don't know. I'm gonna let you guys go ahead of me.
Oh, I'm trying to remember what movies I've seen.
Heather.
I'll ask
You
Melissa.
didn't give me time to prepare.
It's so hard to choose, but like I really think I would have to choose Endgame, just
game?
because of that
Endgame.
one, like the last part. You know, when the people come out, and there's that one particular like female power moment that they have where it's like all the women kind of like go in and they're going to, I think it's to protect.
They grabbed the gauntlet. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. They kind of do like a game of catch with the gauntlet. But this just, I don't know, that whole moment where all the superheroes come back and it's like there's that music just blaring in the background. I think it's great. Can I freeze in a bad
Aaron,
spot?
you hear that, Aaron?
I'm sorry, Heather. It was a bad sound while you were talking.
Yeah. Who was that? What? All right. I don't know.
It's not fair to Heather.
I heard that too, and I was like, "What the hell was that?" And I looked
Yeah.
at Aaron, and Aaron was like, "What the
Like, what?
Wasn't me. Bohemian
Even Heather,
Rhapsody, I
even
don't
Heather
know when it came out.
Ryan is covering his eyes.
Because he can't stop laughing.
He's dying.
Was it Mustard Gas?
Who would have thought a fart joke makes Ryan laugh that bad?
Everybody that's ever known me knows that a fart joke makes me laugh. Are you serious?
Oh,
Oh
wow.
my God, he's
Anyway.
crying.
He's
He is
dying.
crying. We got him.
Did you make that sound, Ryan? Did you make that sound?
No, I wish I could. That was a big win. Whoever did that was brilliant.
There's only 4 of us here.
I'll tell you what, best movie that I saw this year, hands down, was What We Left Behind.
Now, how can anybody answer after that? Because
How good
I
was
was like,
that?
yeah, it was pretty good, but
I'll tell you my favorite scene, but Aaron, you'll get offended.
no, why would I get offended?
You get mad. You get mad every time I bring up my favorite scene in the movie.
Oh, is it me when I went?
I love
No.
that scene too, though. It was great.
I kind of did it.
And then you hear him say, like, "Did you get it?"
I wish when I've watched it, I thought, oh, I should have gone back and kicked the chair down and then left.
You should have. You should have.
No, it might have been too much, but I would have wanted to do that. I should have. And then knock something else down and run into the camera, so chaos ensues. But that would have been too much.
You should have did it at the premiere at the very least while you were in the audience watching it.
I should have walked around. I should have left like whoever left at the one in LA. Fuck you. Just walked around. Yeah. No, that was funny. There were a lot of great moments in the documentary. There were a lot. It was a really good documentary. I really enjoyed it. I thought they did a great job. And what was really nice is hearing everybody else's experience, our co-stars and all the other people of the show and their thoughts and their feelings about various things. It was really neat hearing that, because I can't say that we've ever sat down and talked about a lot of those things. I know that I've talked to Armin at times, so I knew kind of his point of view a lot. And it's interesting how we've all experienced things over the last 20 years, and it's kind of culminated in that documentary.
Yeah, but in answer to the question, though, Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't know if it came out this year or not, but I enjoyed that movie. So
Did you watch it this year? Then
another biopic. I did watch it this year. Another biopic film. So,
gosh, that's a good question. Let's see, 2019 movie.
That actually reminds me, Cirroc, your name came up in a Star Trek group. Let me see, somebody was inspired to do some artwork because of your glorious outfits from the late.
I saw that.
90s. But check this out. There's one in particular that you've got to see. Aaron especially wants you to see this one.
I do? I just love your smile, aren't I? Cool.
Yeah.
But if only you were in a turbo lift with me, you would be melting.
But all joking aside, how cool is that each one of her nails is inspired by an outfit that you wore on Deep Space Nine? There are like 10 of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's crazy that she can get that done.
She chose the middle finger for that one.
Yeah, Aaron, you got me. You got me on that. You definitely got me. But no, I was voted worst dressed by TV Guide.
No way.
Yeah, it was a bruise in my ego at school because everybody was coming up to me saying, "Yo, you're the worst dressed," and I kept reminding them that it was wardrobe. That wasn't like my actual clothes.
It
That's
doesn't
funny
work.
that you had to
When you're in
remind
high
them.
school,
Yeah.
That doesn't work. It's not my fault. It doesn't work. Trust me.
And I was so upset about it that I went to Bob Blackman and I brought the TV Guide and I said, look, TV Guide has me as the worst dressed actor on television.
But did you tell them, but 20 years from now, people are going to go nuts for it?
Yeah, that's not what I
he
tell
even
them.
yelled, even Nog is higher than me, is rated higher than me. The illiterate punk is rated better dressed than I am.
No, it was actually cool because Robert Blackman was so nice, and was like, "All right, well, we'll get you some new clothes and design some newer ugly clothes for me to wear."
We'll put some other colors that don't work together very well.
Yeah, and I don't know why they like wool and all these like fabrics. Like, oh yeah, we'll get you a nice silk thing, and then we'll put wool around the collar, something like that. So,
well, we've only got another minute or two, but
I think there was a reason for that.
Have we finished answering the questions? Cirroc, did you? Oh yeah, what we let? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We can't follow that. What about an alien? You want to be a changeling? Aaron, what do you want to be other than human or Ferengi?
Yeah, but I don't. I really like playing.
Well, then I would be a Cardassian or a Vorta.
Yeah. See, what I think about when you say that, I think about what it feels like to be in that makeup and then interact and work. That's what I think about when you say an alien. So I don't think it's that's what I think about when you say what alien. I go, ooh, how difficult is that makeup and what's it like? The Cardassian, you got these things on your shoulders. You
want to be a Bajoran or one of the aliens of the week that just has like a tattoo on their forehead.
No, because then I feel like it's just we're gonna make an alien by putting a tattoo on your forehead. You know what I mean?
What about you, Heather? What alien would you like to be other than human or Ferengi? See how funny it is, Cirroc, when it's someone else?
It's great. It's great.
Screenshot that.
I love it.
Boom, I got it.
No, she's not frozen. She's just mad at us right now. She's like,
oh my God.
She's not answering.
Here, I can answer your question in the sense of what would I be interested in playing? Because when you think of an alien, you're thinking, I think about, well, what's that character like and what would the role be and what possibly would be the stories that would be told. And I think it'd be really fun to play a Romulan because they're kind of bad guys and they're very secretive and they're very, or at least in my mindset is, they're kind of mysterious. And I think it would be kind of fun to play that, then they're, not necessarily the good guys, not necessarily the bad guys, but Tom Hardy, right? And what was he He was in Nemesis. He played Picard's clone.
Wasn't Jeffrey Combs a Vorta?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So he was
7 of them.
Yeah. So who wouldn't want to be a Wayun type character or a Dukat or Garrick or something like that?
Yeah.
I think. Heather.
Yeah. Now she's high. I gotta get that one. I gotta get that one. I screenshot it. I got it.
That's the tech team.
That's our Trek Tech.
That's Trek Tech.
We love her.
In fairness,
she's been to every free-for-all, I believe, right?
Yeah. In fairness, we need to shower her with compliments to make up for all the laughs we've had at her internet's expense. So she had some bad internet today, but yeah, she's been great. She's been funny. She rolls with the jokes. She jokes with us. Sometimes when I need advice, I message her and ask her, and she tells me her honest thoughts. And she's been great. And she's putting up a cool picture of us at Star Trek Las Vegas with 2 of our favorite people wearing STLV versions of the Seventh Rule shirts that we had, or at least people wearing those on. I think that was day 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was John Tufarella and Homer.
And you have the best hair out of anyone on this podcast so far.
Yeah.
Killer hair.
Killer smile.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I love you guys. You guys are just the best. It's awesome.
Well, you wouldn't say that if you heard what we said when you froze, but
I heard every word.
Because she's also on the,
Just means I'm one of the guys.
It does mean that. You're right.
That's right. And you were really holding down the fort when we were in Vegas. You were on the Discord server taking care of all of our patrons and making sure they knew what was going on. And I really appreciated that. So thank you.
And somebody didn't hold on the fort in this podcast. So
somebody didn't hold in the fort.
And we'll never know who.
Yeah.
I think it was.
This is a new mystery. This is a new mystery. We should do a whole.
I think it
People
was
are gonna
Ryan.
I can
people are
ruin the
gonna go
fun and
back
tell
to,
you
like,
it's a mic issue because I heard when Heather was talking a couple times it went it went again. Either that or she just times it exactly right when she's talking. I think it's just a mic thing, like a static discharge.
people are gonna be recording it and like going frame by frame to try to catch.
It's
where-
like it's like the
Did
it's
you
like,
hear it right there, Aaron?
there it is. It's the magic bullet.
Yeah.
It must be my mic today. It's acting up.
Yeah. You need to
Everything's
take care
acting
of your mic.
It's kind of like when you're in a movie theater and somebody like accidentally farts, but then right after they fart, they go.
I don't think Cirroc, have you ever done that?
I've never done
I heard that happen 3 times during the DS9 documentary. Well, I think we've done a lot of good this week. I think the world is a better place. And Heather, do you have any final thoughts as to what alien you would want to be?
I would be a Q, because you could just,
yeah.
make it happen. I could just zap you guys away, annoying me.
On that note, we're out of here.
Yeah, that note I think was a D minor.
It's so like.
Zap us away.
I'm so sorry. You're talking and trying to answer the question, but your mic is just letting loose.
All right.
I
You
can't
guys-
hear it, so I have to like.
I
go.
didn't hear that one either. Ryan, you're having too much fun. This is enough. Stop
He's
picking on
got a-
Heather, guys.
He's
All right,
got
no
some
more
sort
fun.
Of, like fart machine
more fun.
over
Let
there,
me-
don't you?
Let me dry up. I'm turning into Odo here. My face is melting.
It's melting. The Forsaken.
Too. I got my
If you keep laughing so hard, I am gonna melt.
Yeah,
So,
Oh man.
I'm leaving that joke.
Thank you for
alone.
introducing your sister to us. She seems very nice. Hopefully, we'll see her at a round table one time if she wants.
Nice
to
for
bring it.
us, yeah.
oh, nice for you, huh?
No,
What?
too nice for us.
Oh, too
I was
nice.
like, where are we going with that? I was
Too nice for us. Like she's too good, and we are bad people. All right,
Oh, we should
Time to move on.
end this one.
let's just re-record the whole thing.
We
Yeah.
should.
Back
All
to
right,
the
guys.
back to ones.
Yeah, back to one. Les Landau will be very pleased.
Not my fingers.
Thanks very much for the fun. For Heather Jordan, Aron Eisenberg, Cirroc Lofton, Kat R. King, Russ Hasledge, and Odyssey Radio. This is Ryan T. Husk. Thank you very much, and always remember the 7th rule.